Coming to you live from a Walmart parking lot in a men's restroom. This is Thicc Man Inc.
We are live here with your host Tristan Kilgannon and ESPN featured athlete Isaiah Ashley. This week we are bringing you, or we're going to talk to you a little bit about the NFL and the NBA season opener. Like the video, comment down below what you think about certain topics we're covering, Patrick Mahomes' injury, how you think they're going to do, how you think the Patriots are going
Spoilers.
to do. And most importantly, subscribe. We're at a whopping 27 subscribers right now, so to make that 28 would mean a lot. Isaiah, start us off.
So, a glorious event happened this week in sports. The Dallas Cowboys humiliated the Philadelphia Eagles. And all week, I was hearing from a certain co-host of mine how Carson Wentz was the best quarterback in the division, how the Cowboys were going to be completely outclassed, how Dak Prescott could not handle big games. Well, this was a pretty big game. And Dak Prescott and the Cowboys showed up pretty big, humiliating the Eagles. Carson Wentz wasn't out there. Carson Ince was out there. Terrible game for him, 3 turnovers. And I am loving this as a fledgling Cowboys fan. I'm starting to become one purely to annoy my co-hosts.
Well, most of what you said there is correct. I disagree with the part about this being a huge game as far as what this means for the Cowboys. Of course, any division win is big, especially when it's against what is probably the second best team in the division, given how sorry the rest of the division is. And I was high on the Cowboys coming this season. I had them going 13.
You mean high on the Eagles?
Now that Eagles, sorry, high on the Eagles. And that prediction is obviously looking idiotic. I was low on the Cowboys, or average on the Cowboys, however you want to put it. I had them going 8-8. I feel like I was wrong about the Eagles because their offensive play calling is questionable. Their secondary is looking atrocious, worse and worse even when they have their starters healthy. So that is very troubling to me. And it probably makes Eagles fans wish they had the Giants secondary, which is not a good thing. And I do not know if it is a locker room issue or what, but Doug Peterson needs to start motivating his team and stop motivating the Cowboys, because when he came out the week before saying that it was basically saying it was an easy game for the Eagles, I think it just made the Cowboys actually want to show up for once. They showed up in Jerry World and they kicked the shit out of the Eagles, like you said. And for me, I don't think this means a lot for the Cowboys season because they got beaten by the Saints with Teddy Bridgewater. They didn't even have Drew Brees. They got dismantled by the Packers. They scored garbage time points late to make it close. They got beaten by the Jets with Sam Darnold, who had a 3 quarterback rating last week, had 5 turnovers.
We'll get into that later.
They got beaten by that guy. And they beat the Eagles, who coming into the game were a 500 team and now are a below 500 team. So that is not – although it's a division opponent, of course the Eagles came into the year high, but after 6 games you could tell that they're not one of the best teams in the league. So it's not a big win for them from that standpoint.
Well, it's a big win because they claim sole ownership of the top spot in the division. I think it is a great win for the young core because the Eagles are a hated rival. And I think you are still just kind of bitter that the Cowboys are succeeding while those fellows over in New York are failing so much. But
let me respond. I'm not bitter. I'm just saying, as far as their hopes as being one of the most dominant teams in the NFC, I don't think this is a sign of that happening. I think they need to beat one of the teams like the Saints and Packers, who look like clear favorites in the NFC. If they beat the Seahawks, one of those type of teams, I think that'd be a sign, in my opinion, of their chances to go far in the NFC bracket of the playoffs would change.
Rolling on
to clarify my opinion.
Or next game, excuse me. Rolling on.
Well, next we got Patrick Mahomes' injury. And this is not a good thing for if you're a Chiefs fan. When you saw him laying on top of his lineman's back, not being able to move very well because he was scared that he was going to hurt his leg, it was not a pretty sight to see. On a fourth down QB sneak, Mahomes went for it, and he dislocated his knee. Trainers went onto the field. You could see trainers straightening out his leg and the kneecap shifting into place. If you're queasy, don't look at the video that we're putting up on the screen. It's not exactly something you want to be happening to your own knee. And he insisted that he walked off the field. Him and Saquon Barkley are superhuman when it comes to injuries. They just seem to power through it. And this past week, he's even already throwing an injury that was thought to take 3 weeks to recover. It's ridiculous with him.
It's not like he dislocated his elbow. He can throw from a hospital bed if he wanted to. But here's the deal, Chiefs fans, both Indian mascots, The difference this is going to make is one game. You don't get a first-round bye anymore because you're probably going to lose your next 2 games to the Vikings and the Packers, who are both decent teams. But after that, you've got smooth AFC West schedule ahead of you. It means nothing. He'll be back in a few weeks. They're going to drop a few games. So what? Have to play one more game, humiliate the 3 seed. It's not that big a deal.
And they're very fortunate with their division that it's not the way it was last year. Because last year they had the Chargers challenging them all the way down through the stretch. This year, the whole division's very suspect. I mean, the Raiders are doing a lot better than expected, but I don't know how they're not going to challenge the Chiefs for the division title.
Chiefs are fine.
So they might also want to look to kind of rest him.
One other thing about the Chiefs, they have the Miami Dolphins' most memorable quarterback in recent memory because he was a talent scout on draft night for what's his name? Matt Moore. Matt Moore is the Miami Dolphins scout and is now starting games for the Kansas City Chiefs and is looking like the best quarterback to come out there in a long while. So,
better than what they got right now.
Move going into the future, bring Matt Moore back to turn it around. Who needs 2 when you got more?
Exactly.
All right, moving on. We are going to talk about the Patriots absolutely dismantling the New York Football Jets. It was an ugly game. It was a very New York Jets-esque game. Sam Darnold looked horrible. He was seeing ghosts out there. Thank you, NFL Films, for giving us that meaningful sound bites. You love hearing that. But all in all, one of the worst performances by a quarterback all year, which is saying something given what's going on down in Miami.
And I did not think Darnold would be this bad after being Offensive AFC Player of the Week against what is supposed to be a good Cowboys defense. I did not think a quarterback could look that much worse from that draft class than Baker Mayfield has been. But Darnold found a way to do it. 11 for 32, 86 yards, 4 interceptions, and a lost fumble is quite possibly the worst QB stat line I've ever seen from a quarterback that played the entire game. But for the Patriots have been they've been working their voodoo magic, taking out teams with injuries at every quarter and at every corner in the AFC. Pretty soon, knock on wood, we're going to see an ESPN update telling us Lamar Jackson tripped over a rock and broke his ankle or something.
You realize Josh Gordon got hurt. It's not like they're going through this season unscathed.
Well, the Josh Gordon thing is kind of speculation that they don't want him on the team anymore and they placed him on the IR and when he could have been back sooner.
I'm sure. But all in all, I'm going to throw us back to the start of the season when a co-host of mine predicted the New England Patriots going a stout 11-5 and securing the 4 seed. I think it's safe to say New England is still here.
Hey, you're very right. At this point, with all the injuries that have been going on in the AFC, there's not really any other team performing to the level that they are in the AFC. They're clearly better than everyone. Their defense is looking like the best passing defense ever. The only passing touchdown they've given up is to my man Danny Dimes. Shout out to him, the GOAT. So when you got a defense running like that, it's really hard to lose. You can't lose when you give up 0 points. So, and their offense is struggling a little bit. But like I said, it doesn't matter when you give up 0 points.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. You got to get better. And
speaking about their offense, they win a game 33-0, have a historic performance, and then they're getting better every week. They trade for Mohamed Sanu. And this, I think, was a great trade for the Patriots as well as the Falcons. The Falcons received a second-round pick in return.
They received a high
Patriots
third-round pick. It's going to be the last second-round pick.
Yeah, basically. The Patriots are going to be in the AFC Championship, most likely the Super Bowl this year. So it's basically a third-round pick from that point of view. Probably the reason they were able to get a second out of them. If it was another team, it probably would have been a third-round pick for a player like Sanu. But, I mean, to get that level of a pick for your third-best receiver, especially in a season that's lost, I think it's definitely a benefit for the Falcons.
I think there's an argument for him being the second best, but the Patriots getting better is nothing new. I'm just going to sit back and continue to laugh as they play chess while everyone else plays with themselves. It's not a good look for the NFL. They're able to hoard this much talent. Like, it doesn't make
Everyone
sense.
else needs to quit thumbing their
Pretty
nuts.
much. They got rid of Michael Bennet, I believe, today for a 5th and a 6th round pick. Martellus Bennett, excuse me. No, it is Michael Bennet.
It is Michael. I was thinking Michael was a tight end. Martellus is retired.
But they sent him off to Dallas for a 5th and a 6th round pick. Good for him, I guess.
Yeah, and it's kind of funny because earlier today I was just reading that he's like, everything's fine, no hard feelings after the 1-game suspension. And the next thing you know, he's sent off to Dallas.
Yeah, it's not like they sent him to Cleveland or somewhere.
I wonder how he's also going to do in Dallas's locker room, considering all the personalities they already have.
Yeah, just keep trying to stir a division there, buddy. But Emmanuel Sanders was also traded, going to the San Francisco 49ers for a 3rd and a 4th round pick. Similar deal here as the Falcons getting rid of Sanu. It's a lost season for the Broncos. The 49ers are on the rise. So, hey, might as well add a little bit of offensive firepower. That is where the 49ers are weak right now.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, he's an older receiver coming off a torn Achilles. So this is clearly not a move for the long haul, but when your team is last in average catches by receiver per game in 8.2 and last in receiving yards by receiver per game with 113.2 yards, you're not in a great position. So to add a veteran,
well, they're undefeated.
The team and Emmanuel Sanders. Well, I'm saying as far as your wide receiver, it can only go up from what they have. Is my point as at the wide receiver position. They do have the top 3 tight end in the league, and George Kittle, maybe the best tight end in the league. So this will also open up a lot of stuff for George Kittle.
Yeah, Mini Gronk will have a better performance, even though someone else is going to come in there and take a few targets just because they have to put a little bit more pressure elsewhere. But that has been trade talk for the week, unless you have any more late-breaking stories while I've been filming.
No, I do not believe there's been any more big trades that go down.
We're going to turn this off, and it's going to be Kirk Cousins to the Bengals or something.
Mid-game. As the mid-game while the Redskins-Vikings are playing. We were recording that during the Vikings-Redskins game.
Speaking of the Vikings game, whoo, look at that transition, ladies and gentlemen. The Minnesota Vikings beat the Detroit Football Lions pretty soundly, 42-30. Kirk Cousins had another good game. Yeah, 337 yards, 4 touchdowns, tied a career high. I don't care. This is a 1 p.m. game against a team which honestly isn't that great, which has got worse after getting ref-balled against the Packers and the Chiefs. Kirk Cousins cannot beat real teams. He can destroy as many Detroits and New Yorks and pick a bottom feeder as you like. But on Thursday night, when the lights are on,
he beat the Eagles.
And you know what? That game was at 1 p.m., so there you go.
And the Vikings-Redskins game is only 16-9 right now, and the Redskins are one of the worst teams in the league.
He can hoist Lombardi if he wants. He's still not going to be a good quarterback, which he never will. He's never getting this team out of the first round. He's a waste of money.
I think we all know what Isaiah is trying to do there. He's trying to talk shit about his favorite team to get them to do good. He's doing the opposite of speaking into existence.
I didn't even bet on this game this week. I felt that confident they were going to be a terrible team, though. That's the thing. I'm in acceptance of how this little song and dance works.
I think you're trying to speak it into or not. You're doing the opposite of speaking it into existence. But I feel like the Vikings are slowly building themselves into a contender. It did not look good when you had Thielen and Diggs calling out Cousins for being dog shit, like you said. And he has risen to the occasion. He has the highest QB rating in the NFL right now out of any quarterback. That doesn't sound like a shit QB to me. He's out there answering every challenge that comes at him. His teammates were calling him crap, and he's out there performing, throwing for was it 4 or 5 touchdowns that game? And you got Kyle Rudolph and Irv Smith Jr. looking like a dynamic duo at tight end. So that's been working out for them.
The only challenge Cousins had to deal with recently is the mentally challenged secondaries he's going up against. He's just not good, ladies and gentlemen. I'm sorry that I've accepted this, and my co-host is trying to talk him up to be something better than he is. But Kirk Cousins is not a good NFL quarterback.
Best QB rating in the NFL. I think that's something to brag about when you're
Doesn't
Kirk
Dak
Cousins.
Prescott have a routinely high QBR? And then
We don't need to talk about
exactly.
That. It doesn't apply to my argument, so we don't need to talk about that, Isaiah.
Speaking of arguments which don't apply, how about that NBA season opener? Oof.
With LeBron James
not LeBron
and
James.
Kawhi Leonard.
We say Kawhi Leonard than LeBron James. It's the other way around.
Okay.
I will lead us into this topic.
King Kawhi,
the prince who was promised. You can't spell LeBron and you can't spell Lakers without a big old L early on. It is so clear right now that
applause for the pun.
Kawhi is the best player in that city, bar none, bar the unibrow, bar LeBron, bar none. He is the best, and I am so excited to watch. I was a little bit bitter about him leaving one of the best run teams in the NBA and the Spurs, but oh man, him taking on LeBron head to head is fun to watch.
And I, as a LeBron fan, I have to agree with you. LeBron needs to step up his game. It's not when you have Anthony Davis on your team, missing Kyle Kuzma, but then the Clippers are missing Paul George, so that's not an excuse. You cannot lose to Kawhi Leonard in LA. It's not a good look. Anthony Davis and LeBron need to be way more efficient. You can't have Danny Green outscoring your two-star, outscoring LeBron and Anthony Davis. That's just – you can't have that happen and expect to win a basketball game. That was pathetic by the Lakers. I think this
blaming AD for that is comical. He had a 25-10-5 and wasn't that inefficient.
I'm not blaming AD. I'm simply saying you can't have Danny Green be your leading scorer and expect to be winning a basketball game.
You want to hear my thoughts on the Lakers and LeBron James, Tristan?
What are your thoughts? I feel like I know your thoughts.
Will say LeBron had a good game. He almost had a triple-double. He had some good plays on defense. Those people did not watch the game. LeBron James was sluggish all night, both ends of the court, offense and defense. He was getting chirped by Pat Bev. That was getting in his head. He was making bad passes. He was turning the ball over. He maybe tried on 3 plays on defense. All in all, to make a little chase down block, which, yeah, great, good for you. That's your thing. Congratulations. You're the goat at something. But 7 minutes left in the game. LeBron James, wide open layup, throws the ball over the basket, way out there. Terrible shot. Misses entirely. 2 points in the fourth quarter. Humiliating. Terrible performance all in all by LeBron James. Big old F grade for me on that.
I mean, for LeBron James, it's a terrible performance. If he had a different name, it's a good, solid performance, even a breakout game for some. But when you're LeBron James, you can't be having those type of games, and you're going to be judged.
With the time of possession you have, particularly since they didn't really have a point guard out there, is as high as LeBron had it. And he has that night. I don't even know if you call it a good game for most people.
Do you think they need to play LeBron less at point and get someone else in there?
No, they need to play Alex Caruso more, if we're being honest. Rondo's hurt right now, which I don't think that's a big a deal. He is the James Harden of the Lakers. If James Harden couldn't score it all, dribble, pass, shoot the 3. That doesn't work with LeBron and AD. They need to get Caruso in there, can generate points as a fairly decent passer on his own. But as for the Clippers, Kawhi had a very good night, efficient, had an amazing stretch buckets on him. Lou Williams did his thing, 21 off the bench. Pat Beverly did his thing, chirped the best player on the other team. And Montrezl Harrell had 7-7 on Anthony Davis's renowned defense. All in all, great night for LA and a terrible night for LA.
The city is indeed divided in that one. It'll be interesting to see. I don't think LeBron may start off slow. I don't think this is a sign of the Lakers sucking this year.
The Lakers are going to be, at best, a 7 seed because they looked bad. They had a lot of their key pieces playing tonight. But when LeBron and AD need to manage their loads, that team is not going to win games. They couldn't win games with both of them on the court. Imagine if one of them leaves. It's going to be a bad time.
You can never blow your load too early.
And never. And with that charming note,
thank you all for tuning in. Short episode this week. Not as many interesting NFL games that went on. Next week, we'll be bringing you our power rankings for the NFL midseason after week 8. Be sure to look out for that. Like the video, subscribe. Appreciate you all for tuning in.